Your Technology Tutor Program, Episode 3. Today's topic, keeping your tech clean and germ-free.
The Your Technology Tutor Program, where you'll learn how to be more successful using personal technologies like Mac computers, iPhones and iPads, useful software, cool web tools, videotaping and editing, digital photography, and more. And now, here's the host of our program, Your Technology Tutor, Chet Davis.
Hello and welcome to the program. Pleased to have you along as together we learn to become more successful, more happy, more productive using personal technology tools. Today's topic is, well, kind of like our last program on passwords. Not particularly exciting or sexy, but very important for a couple of reasons. By keeping the interfaces of our technology tools clean, it ensures a better user experience. For example, I'm sure you've seen on your device or someone else's fingerprints or junk that, gets in the way. It obscures the viewing of videos, photos, or gameplay. Heck, even documents, sometimes it's hard to work when you got, junk in the way. Kind of like dirty glasses if you wear glasses. And clean trackballs and mice lead to smoother control of your device. The most surprising thing, however, with the newer touchscreen technologies are the findings in a lot of research dealing in the health and scientific field that find the amount of bacteria on our devices. It's scary. For many of us, there's lots and lots of junk, microscopic crud, and nasty germs sitting on our devices for days on end. So today we'll uncover the state of cleanliness, how to get our devices not only visibly clean, but also clean medically speaking, and how to keep it that way. First, we're going to focus on our mobile devices. Then we're going to move into cleaning up our desktop and laptop computers and home components, TV monitors, that kind of thing. All right? Sound good? So, first of all, with mobile devices, I'm starting out here because it's the proliferation of touchscreen technologies, the smartphones, the tablets and pads that use a glass interface that we touch with our fingertips to operate. These are becoming the breeding grounds for germs and the need for increased attention to cleanliness. Now, just so you know, I'm not a, I forget that term of somebody who's just, I guess a hypochondriac, who's so worried about getting sick all the time and not like the latter days of Howard Hughes wearing, a surgical mask and walking everywhere with gloves on. That's not the kind of person I am. But as I've learned more about the touch screens and the amount of bacteria and germs on them, it does warrant a few moments of our time, really. All right, so back in the day when we were using our mice and trackballs and keyboards, they could be dirty, but we'd be less likely to notice it. But on the touch screen, we're moving our fingers on top of and across the interfaces, seeing photos, videos, and gamescapes. We also want and need to see these things clearly on the device. So, apart from cleanliness for a richer experience, as I mentioned, there are health risks growingly associated with touch screens. Can I say that? Growingly? I think that works. Well, here's some startling facts to throw your way just to make you go, wow, and then, hopefully understand the need for some degree of cleanliness. According to a recent study done by Queen Mary University Hospital of London, the face of a cell phone or smartphone, on average, has 18 times more bacteria than a toilet flush handle. Most people's touchscreen devices have more contamination than the bottom of a shoe, a toilet seat, or a bathroom doorknob. In fact, put down your lunch for just a moment if you are eating. In fact, 1 in 6 cell phones have been found to have fecal matter on them. Yes, that's what I said, matter from human solid waste. Scientists say, by the way, that bacteria can live on the face of your device because of the surface and the temperature for up to 1 week and still be a live bacteria. And some 30% of viruses can make it onto your fingertips simply by you touching the screen of someone else's phone, pad, or tablet device. So, this is particularly important if you or someone in your household is dealing with a serious illness, and you have to be careful about the diseases that one might spread. And during cold and flu season, that's it's particularly important to be careful of this. All right, so is that enough to make you think twice there? Okay, so we got that the second grade class in here today, and they're booing and ahhing. So okay, enough of that. Let's get on with how to clean our tools. Now, first I'm going to go ahead and start. Well, first of all, let's do a general couple things. First of all, I strongly recommend you read the instructions from the manufacturer of your device, especially for the glass surface, because different manufacturers put different treatments on the glass that may be affected by some of the cleaning methodologies. But pretty much everything I'm sharing today should be compatible across any device. But again, it's always a good idea, the best idea, the recommended idea to double check with your manufacturer and see what they say. And I'll have some of the more common technologies referenced in today's show notes. As a rule, avoid using any kind of cleaner, a household or commercial cleaning chemical in it, unless it's approved by your equipment manufacturer or if it's made especially for technology screens. And there's a couple products in the show notes that are chemicals, but they're made specifically for safe use on our digital tools. And you may be aware, maybe if you haven't done much cleaning, but now you got this technology tool, you thought you'd clean it. You want to be careful because the chemicals in bathroom and kitchen cleaners can permanently cloud or scar our technology screens, and products like cleansers, Bon-Ami, Clorox, actually have a scrubbing agent that can permanently scratch our precious touch screens and even some of the housing. So be really careful about what you're using. This is not a place where you save a few pennies and just use that cleanser you already have, under the cabinet. And we should never ever squirt or spray a chemical or liquid, even water, onto or into your device. It is possible by doing that to force liquid into places it just should not be. That could cause, droplets in the screen, behind the screen permanently, and equally as bad, it can get into the components of your device and cause short circuits, etc. So you never want to spray anything into or onto the device anytime you're doing any kind of cleaning with an approved chemical agent, even water. Get the cloth wet and then touch the cloth to the device. For all technology, again, most manufacturers recommend that we turn the device off, power it off, and then disconnect it from the power source so it's not connected to power. A couple reasons. One is to prevent any short circuit during the cleaning process, but it's also to protect you if you have dampness, and I think that's their attorneys said, if they're getting anywhere near liquid, make sure they turn off the device first so they can't be a lawsuit later on. So for mobile devices, for example, Apple recommends disconnecting all cables and plugs. And I find, too, when you're cleaning your equipment, it's much easier if you're not having to work around the cable or the plug. It's kind of like vacuuming the floor with everything on the floor. You kind of have to clean it out first, and then you get all the spots on the floor instead of leaving big patches of dirt. Not that I would have that in my house. All right. Well, time for some touch screen specifics. To remove fingerprints, by the way, if you don't have any cleaning material, you just want to get rid of one or two big fingerprints, some people actually take cellophane tape, scotch tape, and touch it to the touch screen. But be careful because you can leave the sticky residue behind. So I'm just saying what I've seen some people do. But it's advisable to use a clean, soft, lint-free cloth. Okay? A clean, soft, lint-free cloth. And most oftentimes, a gentle wiping with that cloth will get rid of the fingerprints. Now, you want to avoid things like paper towels and tissues, like Kleenex facial tissues. You might be surprised to know, but you may already know, they oftentimes contain very small particles that can scratch, especially paper towels. Okay, they're the big picker-upper, whatever that shopping nomer is in their marketing. It's made to pick up big spills in the kitchen. Yeah, well, you don't want to use that on your gentle technology. Bad news. Some folks prefer to use those microfiber cloths, and I've got several of those for my cameras, for my computers, my touchscreen products. So those microfiber cloths are great ones, and again, I'm going to have links to those in the show notes. If you'd like to clean more than just fingerprints, recommendation is to slightly dampen the cloth, even just a little bit of water. Okay, no solvents, no alcohol, no ammonia, no abrasive cleaners, just a slight amount of water or approved touch screen cleaning solution. Now, even these approved things, you want to avoid having a cloth, and if you're differentiating between wet and damp, okay, if it's wet, if you wring it out and there's still liquid coming out, it's not okay to touch your device with that, because that water can travel from the cloth into the device and potentially damage it. So just damp, not wet. Okay. There are many choices, by the way, for equipment cloths. As I mentioned, the microfiber cloths, they're popular. And I've got recommendations, some samples in the show notes. There are also available little kits that are in the show notes, for example, that contain a cleaning solution. Some contain these microfiber soft cloths, and some contain even little packs of mobile wipes that you can put in your vehicle or take with you when you travel. So you have, you kind of have it handled on all the prongs there. Some of the highly recommended products for this purpose, the prepackaged disposable wipes, already contain an approved cleaner, okay? And I've got two different options, again, listed in the show notes. Now, if you're using these microfiber cloths, by the way, it's a good idea to keep that cloth you use set aside for just that touch screen or your touch screen devices, and not use it in other places, okay? Because, maybe somebody else uses that in the household somewhere else. Well, the danger there is you could pick up larger dust particles or grit from your other devices, and when you bring that onto your touchscreen, you could not only smear it with smudges, but also scratch it. So it's something. Spend a few bucks on one of these. Keep it in a clean, safe place, and only use it for your mobile device. Okay. Let's see. Like I have a separate one for my camera in my camera case. So that just will lend itself to keeping each of the products better protected. Now, the cleaning that I'm talking about here does not disinfect the surface of our device. It gets rid of the visible stuff so it looks clean. And here's the big wrinkle. With this increased potential for spreading germs on our touchscreen products, it's curious that very few of the manufacturers that I've done in my digging around have a recommendation for a disinfectant solution. Okay, in fact, in a number of the forums I was visiting to make sure I was solid on the research for today's lesson, there's some end users, folks just chatting about technology, said, "Oh yeah, I put a dab of alcohol and use this swab and use this cleaning cloth." But you know what? Everywhere that I read, officially, the official statements from Apple computers say do not use any cleaning solution on the screen of your device. So what to do, Chip? Well, we've got a couple solutions for you here. One is to use a surface protector. The surface protectors you can put on your iPhone or your iPad. It's essentially a clear laminate that sticks to the screen. It still gives you the touch screen sensitivity, but your fingers are not actually touching the surface of that. So, for example, maybe you've got a toddler at home and she or he likes to use your iPad, when you're supervising them. You might put a new one of those on each day or at a regular interval and peel that off. Okay? If you need to take your iPad to the office and other people are going to touch it, put that pad on for the day. When you get home, peel the pad off. And that way, nobody's ever really touching the screen. And if the screen, the clear protector becomes contaminated, you're throwing it away along with the germs. Okay, so that's one suggestion that some folks recommend. The other's a more robust version of this is an option that I discovered in the research for the program called Seal Shield. S-E-A-L, like it's sealed up, not like the animal. And the Seal Shield is a form-fitting polyurethane cover. They have a version for the iPad and a separate version for the iPhone, just under about $20 US, and it creates a watertight seal. This is actually created by folks in and for the healthcare industry, where touch screens, could be passing contaminants along between the healthcare providers and patients. So it allows them to wash and disinfect your products without actually touching and affecting the screen. Again, that's called Seal Shield. The third recommendation is to use a semi-permanent cover, something like the OtterBox Defender. Great product, by the way. I used an OtterBox Defender on my iPhone for many years, and it's been dropped, not always intentionally, but it's survived very well. So that way you clean the surface of the clear cover and you don't actually touch the glass touch screen itself. Lastly, if you're really concerned about the spread of germs from or on your device, particularly maybe, again, you work in the healthcare field, you might look into a device that uses ultraviolet light rays to sanitize your device. Okay? One such model is the Violite UV cell phone sanitizer. The link to this product is in the show notes for the program, and the price is just under $50 US. Okay. Excuse me. On to cleaning the body and other parts of your mobile devices. Now, these following steps, by the way, can also be used on our laptop and desktop computers, just not the screens and monitors, okay? So, again, these steps can be used on, as you're going to see, the peripherals, the keyboard, your trackpads, your trackballs, your mice, the outside of the computer, your desktop, your laptop computer, whatever it is, but can also be used on the other components that are available, but can also be used on our mobile devices as well. So first of all, just like the case with our mobile devices, make sure the unit is powered off and disconnected. Disconnect the power cables and other cables and connections. And again, do not use household cleaning agents, and never spray onto or into the device. So even if you have an approved cleaner, we're not supposed to spray it on the device. You spray it on the cloth, then use the cloth on the device. Now, on these surfaces, again, other than the glass touchscreen, we are allowed to use disposable wipes. And there's two that are mentioned by name by Apple Tech Support. One is Lysol wipes, and the other is Clorox kitchen disinfecting wipes. These are, these grew out of the baby wipes that some of us use that had little ones at home. Okay? But they're diversifying their marketplace and taking that technology and making it available for other products. So not only is it a cleaner, but it has a disinfectant chemical inside of it that can be used to clean the body of the device. Okay? Again, not the screen, because Apple and other technology companies recommend not using these chemicals on the surface of the screen because it may cloud it, mar it. Okay? So, but these work, again, on the outside of our mobile devices, on the back side, on the sides, where the power buttons are and all, the volume buttons, and can be used on our laptops and our desktop computers themselves, can be used on our trackpads, on our keyboards, okay? When you're doing this, on ports for cables and connectors like on my iPhone and iPad, I gently use a cotton swab like a Q-tip to remove any dirt or grime. It's surprising to me the junk that gets in the earphone jack, or in the little speaker ports. Be very careful, but gently go in there. I've even used a disinfectant wipe to get the tip damp on the Q-tip and then clean the device cavities using that. Okay. Now, pay particular attention when wiping clean the ports of your device, of the camera ports. So, in fact, I use a camera cleaning brush for the final step to make sure that there's nothing on the camera port on my iPhone or iPad that's going to, affect the quality of the photos that I'm taking with that. By the way, when cleaning your keyboard, make sure it's disconnected to avoid triggering all kinds of activity. If your keyboard's still connected, your computer's on, you're going back and forth and cleaning the keyboard, and all these programs are launching and typing for you and everything and changing the documents. So again, the device should be powered off, number one. Number two, disconnect the keyboard, the trackpad, trackball, whatever you're working on to clean. Okay, and when you're cleaning a keyboard, it may be easy to make the mistake of pressing too hard. you're pressing gently. Yes, we're disinfecting and cleaning, but by pressing too hard, one of two things occur, especially with these disinfectant wipes that have the chemical. You may kind of wring out some more moisture that goes down underneath the keys, which is a bad thing. And secondly, too much pressure can actually damage the contact points of your keyboard. So it can actually render certain keys useless or broken. So do it. I'm not saying don't do it. Just do it with care, with thoughtfulness. Now, when I'm cleaning my keyboard, by the way, especially if you have some of, there was a previous style. Now I've got that, the metallic keyboard. It's pretty much flush and it's easier to clean. But we had one where the keys were kind of sticking out. It kind of had a plastic recess underneath it. And for that model of the keyboard, I recommend I use a compressed air in a can, but use a clean one, not something you'd maybe find at the automotive supply store, but one you'd find at a computer parts supply store that is supposed to be more pure and less, potential issues with particles coming out. And I use that to kind of brush the dirt and hair and junk and dust that accumulates in the room, blow that out first, and then do the final cleaning. Okay? A special note as well, if you use a mouse or trackball, just looking at my notes, make sure I got this here. And I use Trackballs. I'm just very comfortable with them on several of my devices, the Logitech Trackballs. Make sure you clean these at regular intervals. You might, if you've not opened that before, you'll be surprised how much gunk collects in there. I mean junk. Okay? So I'll take the ball out of the trackball or the mouse pad if it's removable, and sometimes they lift right out depending on the model you have, and sometimes you have to unscrew a plastic ring and then you can take it out. Again, disconnect it from your computer first with the computer off, and then clean the ball. And you might notice the surface of the ball, depending on the model you have, like the Logitech Marble mouse trackballs, there's a pattern, and you want to make sure that that's cleaned off. I just roll it back and forth in one of these disinfectant cloths. And then there's 3 or 4 touch points where the ball rolls around inside of the device. Gently go in there and clean that out. You'd be surprised that it's kind of like a junk magnet. And then oftentimes there's a little port. It's almost like a little eye hole. And that's that on the mouse ball trackball from Logitech, for example. That's where it sees and discerns how it's moving left, right, up and down, how far, how much, how fast, etc. So clean all those out, and you may be surprised what a smoother performance you have when working with your device. Okay. Let's see. Let's move on now to components in the home entertainment centers like amplifiers, Blu-ray or standard DVD players, receivers, cable boxes, etc. All of these can be cleaned with the same careful attention we give to cleaning the outsides of our computers and our devices. Now, if our devices are in a particularly dust-attracting space, or perhaps you've just put it off for a long time, you haven't cleaned it in a while, there's a ton of dust and stuff, around there in the especially if it's in a cabinet away in the side of the room. It just can accumulate stuff. In particular, if you've got a lot of pets, pet hair can be accumulated in there. By the way, on all that is potentially dangerous is not the right word, but harming to components that need to stay cool. To our computers in particular, this is a really potentially serious issue. If the cooling on our computers, on hi-fi home entertainment amplifiers, that kind of thing, if the portholes are covered or obscured by other things, by people leaving magazines on top of them, by stacking components together with no easy access for the airflow, it can cause devices to overheat. And devices that have microprocessors, like computers, by the way, not only can they overheat, but they can give you much weaker performance, much poorer performance. All these kinds of devices need airflow to keep them cool and performing at their optimum. All right. So what I was starting to head down the path there is, you want to need to blow out, not blow into the device, the junk, but blow it away and out of there and get the area cleaned up also. All right, so, those devices, we can use the same kind of cleaning cloths. You can use the disinfectant cloths. If there is a glass surface on your components, check the manufacturer's recommendation just to make sure. But as a rule, the older glass surface fronts you can use a quality glass cleaner to get that clean. But never, I'm going to say it again and again, never paper towels. Scratch, scratch, scratch. All right, last items are our TV monitors, our big screen TVs. Let's attack these in one of the 3 common available technologies. There's a glass front, otherwise known as a CRT. There's a plasma monitor or an LCD monitor. Those are the 3 most common kind of TV monitors, big screen TVs you might have. If you don't know which type yours is, check the owner's manual. If you don't have the owner's manual, check the company website for the technical specifications. Now, glass front TV, commonly just called TVs that use the CRT or cathode ray tube to display the signal. I call this the old school TV. You know, the TV I watched as a child growing up. Maybe you too. This you can use a quality glass cleaner on with a soft cloth. Never spray directly onto the face of your TV. I think I remember doing that as a kid. I hope Mom wasn't watching. But, because it can go down inside the surface of the tube, and that could be bad for the components. And always use a soft, clean, lint-free cloth. Never use paper towels, again, which can be abrasive and scratch the surface. So that's a glass front TV. If you have a plasma monitor, a plasma TV, you're recommended to use a clean, lint-free or microfiber cloth, and it can be dampened slightly with filtered water, not dripping wet again, just slightly damp, and experts say that should remove most of the junk from the screen. Sometimes we have to go back and dry the screen with an additional clean microfiber cloth to get rid of any streaks, so beware of the streaks, and the monitor should be turned off when you're doing this process, okay? And again, that's the microfiber cloth, clean just like the surface of our touch screen devices. Do not use, again, paper towels, tissues, etc. that contain those abrasive particles. And again, no household cleansers, no household cleaners, not even a glass cleaner on the plasmas, okay? Just filtered water. Lastly, there's the grouping of the LCD monitors. There's 2 different varieties you might see in your home, a glossy LCD monitor or a matte finish LCD monitor. Now, glass finished LCD monitors can be cleaned the same way as a plasma screen with the clean, particle-free microfiber cloth and slightly damp water to get the junk removed from the screen. Again, no paper towels, no cleaners or cleansers, okay, unless the product is recommended or approved by your TV manufacturer. So again, the LCD and plasma are kind of like the face of our mobile devices. The matte finish LCD monitors, extra care must be taken here, okay? Even water can lead to a streaked display, and when working with a matte finish LCD panel, it is possible if you press too hard when cleaning, it can cause permanent damage to your LCD screen. There are cleaning kits available for LCD monitors, for the matte finish LCD monitors, and you might even consider contacting the reseller, the folks that sold you the device, for their recommendation, or a local service company for specialized cleaning or for service. So, both of those are important things to consider because of the potential risk. It's just a more fragile technology, something we need to pay attention to. Now, before we close the program, I just want to come back to one topic, and that's, if you are sharing your device with others, it's particularly important you pay attention to the cleanliness issue. You just don't know where other people's hands are at. And while we're on that note, it's very common for folks out and about shopping for technology today. Like if you've walked into an Apple store, they're gorgeous retail experiences, I think, and have all those mobile devices laid out for people to try and love and hopefully take home. Well, that's one of the places that's a harbinger for massive quantities of germs. So if you and your family visit those places, it's sort of common sense, but just to point it out, to be mindful of it. Before you go home, before you go to a restaurant and eat after visiting one of those places, make sure that everybody washes their hands well. And I'm not trying to be a clean freak, but really, again, those are the kinds of places where there can be tons of communicable germs because of the variety of people that are touching them day in and day out. All right, that's it for today's program. Thanks so much for joining me. The links presented in today's program will be available in the show notes along with a summary and the resources that I mentioned as well. You'll find the show notes for today's program on my website at yourtechnologytutor.com. That's yourtechnologytutor.com/3, just the numeral 3. Next program, our topic is flashcards. You know those little cards that go in our cameras? Well, what you need to know about it and how to get the best experience. Until then, your technology tutor, Chet Davis, signing off. Have a great rest of the day.